Okay.
Okay, you want me to go now?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Jeffrey, you might be interested in seeing a picture of me and my family. It was taken in 1948. And you want me to tell you which one?
Yeah.
Okay, there I am, right there. I was almost 36 years old.
Which one are you?
This one.
Okay.
This is my mother and my father. This is my oldest sister, Laree, and my youngest sister, Helen. And that's Lena, Edna, Laura, Mary, and Corda. And I had two brothers, Franklin and Walter.
And that's your mom and dad.
That's my mom and dad.
What are their names?
John William and Clara Elizabeth. Okay. Would you like to see a picture of my father when he was young?
Sure. Love to.
Yes, very good.
No, I don't know just what year this was taken, but here's my father, and we are estimating that he was about 15 years old because he was married in 1900 when he was 25 years old. That's my father, John. And this is his father, the patriarch of the family, and his mother. His name was, oh, wait a minute, that was
You mean his wife?
William Franklin. They called him Franklin, but it was William Franklin, and her name was Laura Jane.
But that's his wife, right?
Yeah, that's my father's mother.
Yes.
Okay. Now, this girl standing there, her name was Alice May, and this was my Uncle Ray. What did they call him here? Well, anyway, I know his name was Raymond. Raymond Dwight. We always knew him as Uncle Ray. He was a brain. He went to Washington, D.C. and looked through the Library of Congress to get all the history of the Giffin family. He went to Scotland and found the Giffin Castle, and I don't know what else. Anyway, this one is Ed. Is that right? Where did I see him? I don't know how they got those there. Her name was Blanche. Mary Blanche. His name was Charles. This must have been Ed. I don't see it on there. Oh yeah, Edward Hiram. And this little one down here, that's Guy. And this is Laura. And these two, when they grew up, I don't know at what age, but they both went to Kansas to live. And she married someone out there, and he married someone. And this is Uncle Jim. James Blaine is his name. I guess that's all of them. Do you see they had their photograph taken outside?
Mm-hmm.
And there's you can almost see a barn there in the back.
Hold the picture this way. There's kind of a glare on it. Okay.
Okay, that's part of my history.
These are some of the letters that I have from Raymond Giffin.
Right. He might want to see. Do you want to see when I was a little tot?
Okay.
And I was cute, wasn't I? That little one there. That's me. This is my sister Corda. And Edna, she was 2 years older than I was. And then this is Lena back there. These two are neighbor friends, Caroline and Harriet Tullis. They live nearby. That's a long time ago. Now to tell you.
Yes.
Here,
Since we're
Judy.
in the family tree here.
Yeah, why don't you sit
Oh
down?
man, where did I start?
Yes, when did you start? These are my letters that Ray Giffin wrote to me years ago when I decided to do this as a project in 1952 for an easy grade, I thought. But this will be of interest to Heather, because we find the Giffins located first in Ayrshire, Scotland. You know where that is?
No.
During the bloody persecutions waged against the Presbyterians and Covenanters by Charles I in 1625 and by Charles II and his successors during 64 years until the Toleration Act by William and Mary in AD 1689, this family of Giffins and many others were driven from their homes to seek refuge in mountains, secluded places, and other countries. Anyway, that's where they first found the Giffins, back in Scotland. These are all letters from Raymond Giffin, who did all that research. And this is what I got my grade on when I was 12 years old. This is, where is it?
Blank sheets of paper.
Here. British ink.
I thought it was a problem with the camera.
This is, the family tree. Ah, see? I did this when I was 12.
Is that upside down?
No.
Did you do all that lettering?
Yes. Are you impressed?
Yeah.
Oh, let me see if I can find your name on here.
Where'd you have this?
Oh, here's some.
Where'd you spend all these years?
Up in the closet. Nobody was ever interested, so I didn't ever get it done.
Didn't know you even had it.
Okay, here's my father's family right here. Charles, Alice, Edward, John, Raymond, Lloyd. I didn't know him. He only lived 2 years. Mary, James, Guy, and Laura.
Anyway,
Now, where are you? You're here someplace.
I'm not. It ends here with all of Meg Giffin.
Oh,
Am I?
well, you've got some paper someplace.
This must just be the way I did this report.
You sort of pruned the tree, Mom.
Huh?
You pruned the tree.
Yeah, I guess.
Isn't this Grandpa Giffin's?
Oh, no, I would be here because now I'm a Derbaum. Oh. But I'm still not there.
Oh,
Yeah, here we are.
oh yeah.
Mary Grace.
Oh, Edgar Allan Derbaum. Married in 1935.
To all of Meg Giffin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here's our kids. Mary Grace and Judith and our baby.
Isn't that Grandpa Giffin's desk over there?
Where? No, that's Grandpa Derbaum's desk when he was a little boy.
Yeah, Edgar's fallen from that.
They're on here too, but we didn't have much family tree on the Derbaums because
He didn't know
nobody
what-
ever went to the courthouse and researched them.
But I have a lot more papers at home all about our family. You do too, I think. Quarter cents or something.
Okay, we're back from station identification break.
Yes, we're back to Ray Giffin's letters. Looks like about the year 1638, there were 3 Giffin brothers in Ayrshire. I'm not saying that right, I'm sure. How am I saying that? Ayrshire? How would you say Ayrshire?
Probably Irish shirt.
Okay.
That from a leading authority.
One of whom fled to Ireland, another to America, and a third to Ayrshire, having accepted the protection of the Marquis and settled in Kintyre, Kintyre. Have you heard of that? Anyway, the one who came to America settled at Newville, Pennsylvania, Cumberland County. There, 2 brothers were born and maybe more. So I guess the Giffins first came to America in 1638. Gee, do you suppose we could be daughters of the American Revolution?
Granddaughters.
Well, it gives us a new reason to go to Scotland, Jeff. I have to go look up those castles.
Oh, they found it. Well, it was just earthenworks, I think.
Somebody went back there to find their castle. All they found was a
A moat.
foundation had been
Oh,
built.
here's the castle of Montgomery. That was the old Giffin Castle. which was given to the Montgomerys. So they were called the Montgomerys of Giffin. How about that? They gave the Giffin castle to the Montgomerys.
We're going to reclaim it. Get our guns. Let's start a revolution.
Highland Mary was Mary Campbell and is buried at Greenock. Burns was a Mason and gave Mary a Bible with his Masonic mark upon it. The first Masonic lodge in Scotland was located at Kilwinning, and Eglintown served at one time as its master. A great many of the records were burned, but after the Earl's death, a great many records were found in the old Giffin Castle. And they spelled it Giffen in Scotland, but it's IN in America.
Well, there are some yet in
This is too long to read for this now, but you might want to read this sometime. I could make copies of this too if you kids want it. You want copies of this? Huh? You want copies? Huh?
Uh-huh.
Because it's, I'll sit.
We don't want to put it, don't put it on tape, but I'll tell you about it.
Okay.
Turn it off, Jim. Tell her.
But I
Tell him
don't
this
know.
is hearsay.
Put the
Okay.
disclaimer at the
It's
very
been
beginning.
decided to put this on tape.
Well, anyway, my father's mother passed away when she was quite young, and I suspect it was shortly after this. And this daughter died young. She caught pneumonia, and they didn't have penicillin, and she died. And he must have died with typhoid fever. I don't know for sure, but after my father's mother died, William Franklin decided that it would be easier for him to take care of his big family with less expense if he moved them all down to Georgia. They were living in Ohio at that time, in Coshocton County, I think it was. So he got them all in a covered wagon and drove down to Georgia over those hills in a covered wagon. And after they got down there, I don't know how long they lived there, but what I heard was that they all got typhoid fever. And I think maybe he died then, and that's when my grandfather died with typhoid fever. And
Hold the picture up again. Right.
this one, the patriarch of the family. And my father had it, and my Uncle Ray told me that when my father got over it, he was nothing but a bag of bones. So anyway, she mentioned the Masons. So apparently my grandfather belonged to a Mason. He was a Mason. And the Masons brought all these kids back to Ohio. And I don't know what happened to each individual one, but my father worked for a family. I think it was in Indiana or Illinois. He worked as a helper on the farm and lived there with them. And what happened after that, I don't know how he got back to Ohio or anything about it, but he and my mother were married in 1900, and he was 25, and she was about not quite 17. She was, she would have been 17 in March, and they were married in November. But she was about 16 and a half. And they had 10 children, and they all lived. That's unusual in those days. Oh, I can tell you one thing about my father. When they lived out in the country, and he and my mother lived on a rented farm, and they had, Larry was born then, they had a baby, and he wasn't feeling very well, and he said, I think I have appendicitis. He says, I was reading about it, and he says, I've got the same symptoms, and he says, I think I got appendicitis. So they called a doctor, and the doctor examined him, and he says, you got appendicitis. And they put him on the kitchen table and operated. And then my father used to say, if I'd have died, all you kids would have been here without any dad. Or pap, I guess he'd say. Oh, I hope you didn't put that on there. Anyway, that's how they used to do things. And the anesthetic they gave him was chloroform.
That's better than nothing. I've heard of leather straps and whiskey.
Yeah. So, and my mother, she learned to sew by going as an apprentice with, and I don't know whether she lived with this dressmaker or whether she just went there from time to time, but that's how she learned to sew. Well, my grandmother could sew too, but not like a professional dressmaker. And then my mother made all our clothes, 8 girls. Of course, we didn't have very many, but we had a nice dress for. Look at that little outfit when I was little. We were all dressed up, weren't we? Yeah. She probably made all those clothes.
Hold it up again. Oh, hang it, hold it up. And you're the front right one, right?
Yeah.
That cute little girl holding a flower.
So, I don't know a whole lot about my mother's family, though. I know that he was Irish. His name was Isaac Bennett. And I don't know too much about him. Hard-working farmers. So,
Was Grandpa Giffin's dad the one with
Pardon
the
me?
beard? Was Grandpa Giffin's father the one with the beard? Was he a farmer?
I
Was he a
didn't know.
farmer? Was he a farmer?
He had his own farm.
Yeah.
He had his own farm?
I don't know. I don't know what
Well,
they had.
Here's something else interesting, kids. These are listed as ancestors of Judith Claire Derbaum, but of course they're yours too. For my great grandparents, which would be your great grandparents.
How many
And
grades?
Yours would be great.
3.
Yes. One of the descendants they mention here is Peter Blue and Mary McCammon. Excuse me. And it said here that for the McCammons, our earliest known ancestor is Alexander McCammon, who married Mary Black in County Down in Ireland and immigrated to America about 1722 and settled in Philadelphia. He received from Thomas Penn warrants for about 400 acres of land in Salisbury Township, Lancaster County. And it gives you the variations of the way you can spell the name McCammon. The Mac was added to Almont to distinguish the tribe. The Scottish Mac means the son of. McAlmont means the son of Almont. So the McCammons are of Scottish origin, the same as the Giffins. They were forced to flee Scotland during the religious wars, as were the Giffins. John McCammon, who married Mary Livingstone, settled near Shippensburg, Pennsylvania, just a few miles south of where the Giffins settled at Newville. This John McCammon was with George Washington during the Revolution.
Is that George Washington or
Yeah.
Washington?
George Washington.
Thank you.
Yeah, now, you see, we could all, if you ever wanted to join the Daughters of American Revolution,
Well,
you can.
Marie was a member of that.
Was she?
Um,
So if you ever want to join the Snob Club of America, you have the credentials here.
I ain't wearing a dress.
His 2 sons, now this is Andrew and Samuel, came to Knox County and settled in the southeastern Jackson Township about 1820. The McCammons are descendants on the mother's side from Fiach, son of Niall of the 9 Hostages, who was the 126th monarch of Ireland. Interesting, huh?
Oh, well, I can tell
Pardon?
you.
That's so weird.
Oh, yes, my uncle,
Well,
Raymond did that.
you mentioned Peter Blues.
And this is also interesting. Everybody knows Robert Burns, the poet, right? Okay. Robert Burns, the poet, was a neighbor to the Giffins. He wrote the poem Highland Mary, which mentions the old Giffin Castle. This is the quote from his poem. Ye banks and braes and streams around the castle of Montgomery. Green be your trees and fair your flowers, your waters never drumly. That was the old Giffin Castle, which was given to the Montgomerys. So they were called the Montgomerys of Giffin. A great many of the records were found in the Giffin Castle, and from history of English estates, there may be found an account of the Montgomerys of Giffin, which may be found in the National Library in Washington, D.C. So,
Well, I can
shall
tell
we
you-
all get our applications for the Daughters of American Revolution
Why
out?
do we want to join the Daughters of the American Revolution?
It's the Snob Club in America.
Well, what can you do if you're a snob club American person?
Well, it's a social club. It just distinguishes you from the masses because your family's been here so long.
Well, cool. I'll
It
show Ann. Yeah.
distinguishes you from the Africans.
Judy, I can tell you a little
And
bit.
because your relatives fought with George Washington. Not too many people can say that.
Judy,
But
you mentioned the Blues, Peter Blues.
yeah.
My father's mother said her name was Laura Jane. Her last name was Blue
Oh.
before she married Giffin. And one of her sisters I knew when I was growing up. Her name was Susie.
Susie
Aunt
Blue?
Susie Blue. And then there was another one I didn't know very well. Her name was Maggie. And she married somebody by the name of Wilson. I remember Aunt Maggie Wilson. But Aunt Susie never got married. She was always a single lady, and she'd come to visit us. And
She was a spinster.
she was sweet as pie. And, and there was a brother too. I can't think of his name. I don't remember his first name, but there was a brother. And the little bit that I know about my mother's family, her name was Dennis, because her father's name was Isaac Dennis, and he married, Laura, what was her name? Doolittle.
Yeah.
What was her first name? It was the same as in My Fair Lady.
Liza?
Liza. Her name was Eliza Doolittle. That was my mother's mother. And her name was Eliza Jane Doolittle. And people, when I tell people when they're talking about My Fair Lady, I said, "Oh, that was named after my grandmother."
Now, was her name spelled E-L-I-Z-A? It didn't have the H on the end, did it?
I don't know if I looked at that one yet. That was Dave's idea, I guess.
Well, are you listening to all this, Kristen, about your relatives?
Actually, she was.
I know she was.
How much she remember, I don't know.
Well, I hope this turns out
apparently-
you can play it. That'll be interesting.
Apparently, the ancestors of my mother's side and the ancestor of my father's side came from Scotland. Well, her father, I think, came from Ireland. Isaac Dennis, I think he was from Ireland, I'm not sure. Because
Smile, you're on.
Louise
Jeffrey's
husband
camera.
used to talk about Isaac Dennis being a stubborn Irishman.
A stubborn
Oh, he
Irishman.
was stern. He
So
used
the
to-
Giffins were Scottish.
Yeah.
I'll have to look up that town on the map and see where it is.
I'll make copies of this at work sometime when I can get
Okay.
to a copy machine and give it to all of you if you want it.
I think I copied that on a real cheap
It is. It's
copy
that.
machine that we had where I worked. It's one of these things that you
You had to
have
go
do
like
by
this.
hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mimeograph machine.
Mimeograph. That's
Yeah.
what it was. They don't even have those anymore. We ready? Camera.
We're rolling.
Okay, this is a letter from Uncle Ray Giffin to me in 1956.
Okay, wait.
Here's Uncle Ray.
Let me get the camera focus in on him. Point him out again.
Right there.
Okay.
Okay. This is a letter from Ray Giffin to me when I was a young girl. Anyway, it says, Miss Judy Derbaum, Euclid, Ohio. My dear Judy, and this is an uncle I may have met, once or twice in my life.
He was my uncle.
Yes, a great uncle. He says, my dear Judy, I finally received your letter and am sending you the names of some of your ancestors. On the family tree, there are hundreds and hundreds of them. If you want any more names of others, just let me know. I am sending you your record of 7 generations. The last one, John Trimble, helped Bishop Chase select the site for Kenyon College at Gambier. The Giffins have been farmers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, college professors, mechanics, millers, preachers, and most all honorable occupations and professions. So don't ever be ashamed of your ancestry. I know very little about the Dennises, but you can get information from Earl Davis, Gambier, Ohio. We are all well and hope this finds the same. Your old uncle, Raymond D. Giffin. Neat letter, huh?
Mm.
That was October 1956.
Yeah. And he had a son
Carolyn Jones says she'll call you.
who did the same thing. They were both very scholarly, you know. They both did all that kind of work.
Well,
His wife died when she was very young, and he never remarried.
thank you, Grandma. Thank you for your update here.
Now, as far as my father's father being a farmer, I can't say for sure, but I suspect he was. Might have been a school teacher, I don't know. Several in that. Ray was a school teacher, her Uncle Ray and my Uncle Ray, and Uncle Ed was a school teacher. And that's about all I know.
Oh, wait a minute. There's something in here.
That's not Uncle
Okay.
Ray's writing.
That's your writing.
Oh,
Okay. This is a picture of Uncle Raymond.
yeah, that's
Giffin.
the way he looked. When
And
we
they-
knew him, that's the way he looked. John, you want to see Uncle Ray?
Yeah. I see him.
You got it on, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. This is
Oh, he wants to see.
it's a Masonic lodge book
Wait.
in 1950.
See, it says Bladensburg, and that's the, on my letter, Ellen Love cut it off.
Ooh.
Boy, was I mad at her.
She didn't give it back either, did she?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay. Did you get the picture?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen that picture somewhere else before.
My father looked something
I
like
don't know
that.
where. I don't think I've ever gotten this out before.
No, I haven't seen it from there, but
They
I've seen
look
it
quite a
somewhere.
bit
I have
alike.
too.
It looked, I mean, I saw it as like, I've seen that somewhere.